Hi, everyone. Very happy to talk to you all today. I am Annapurna Saripalli, and better known as Purna, and I'm a PM lead with Microsoft Security, and I work across many areas, and more specifically AI in data security. So today I'm going to spend some time talking about AI in data security, how it is evolving, and more importantly, how can it help us. There's been so much that's going on in the world of AI today that many of us are finding it hard to catch up. And I hope that little bit of this talk today is going to give all of you an insight into how AI has evolved over the past couple of years and how we can truly leverage AI for our organization's benefit. So this quote really strikes and really resonates with me whenever I think of AI. And I'm very passionate about AI and innovation, how it can transform the world in a very non-linear, in a very exponential way. But more importantly, this quote, I haven't put the names of the folks who have really quoted this, but what really strikes about this is the positivity and the hope that is associated with AI. And the second one is all the more important. Our intelligence is what makes us human, and AI is an extension of that quality. So that is really important that we understand that artificial intelligence is a natural extension of human intelligence, and we have to respect, use that with that primitive and foundational element in mind. So how have organizations evolved with AI the last couple of years? So AI as such, if you look at it today, close to 50% of organizations have confirmed that they use AI in at least one business function. This was as low as 5% about a decade ago. So AI has really exponentially evolved in the past decade. 3.8 is the average number of AI capabilities within at least one function or business unit. So that is again massive, 3.8 AI capabilities used per function in an organization. And today, organizations spend greater than 5%, more than 52% of the organizations spend more than 5% of their budgets on AI. So that is the amount of emphasis our organizations, enterprises across the world are placing on AI as they see its true potential. So how has AI really evolved? A decade ago, there were simple rules, and the machine learning models or the rule-based ML, as we call it today, was where we started. That was our first entry into AI. And then we slowly migrated to natural language processing, where we evolved from the simple rules to slightly complex rule, which can process text and generate intelligent insights and actionable insights from natural language. But then again, all simple stuff. Then there were more basic ML algorithms. Even the software and the tools and the developer tools we use have also evolved to support these basic ML algorithms. Then there came advanced ML and deep learning models, which truly accelerated the pace of AI accuracy and really helped in reposing the trust in AI across multiple solutions, because efficacy, accuracy, noise, all this became hindrance to the progression of AI, and deep learning models really bridge that gap. Now, today, we're in the world of ChatGPT, generative AI, large language models, and co-pilots, which are not just simple AI rules, but they actually mimic a human in terms of reasoning, in terms of sentiment, in terms of intelligence, and in terms of creativity. So AI has truly evolved, and we believe that we are right now at a flux of this, a very, very crucial inflection point where some of these generative AI models are literally going to transform the world and how organizations digitally enter the digital transformation journey, and secondly, how enterprise users really work and really conducted their daily jobs. So we believe generative AI is going to be really transformational, as you can see the buzz and waves that it's creating recently. AI in security in general, the way it has evolved is it has followed the same path. starting from rule based ML to right now generative AI, which is not just used for detecting fish, but also used for other malicious purposes. But nevertheless, it has taken the same journey. But what is important about this journey? What is the key takeaway from this journey is this: productivity, accuracy, and efficiency of these AI models have increased. And what has gone down is the amount of input, the data that is required to train these models. So that has come down. So productivity has increased, and the training data and some of these blockers that we earlier had in really truly deploying AI have really come down. Now, specifically coming to area in data security. So what we looked at is we looked at the overall AI in an organization, and then we looked at AI in cybersecurity in general. Now we're going to talk about AI in data security. What is data security? Data security is the principle of protecting organizations' data from vulnerabilities, risks, overexposure, and ensuring that the organizational processes, the business processes, and the data handling practices are compliant. So, that is the broad area, the broad contours of data security. There are many, many aspects to it. There is data loss prevention, there is information protection, there is regulatory compliance, there is communication compliance. So, there are a whole bunch of dimensions, and organizations have evolved in how they deploy these solutions. But data security, I recently attended a conference in RSA, it's the top of mind of most organizational leaders. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about why data security is such a big challenge. So if you see what makes this data security such a big deal, the reason is very simple. As hybrid work and the way we work has evolved, there are so many connected devices, there are so many applications, the cloud is so vast, and it's really heterogeneous and amorphous. We don't know where is data originating, where is it really going, what's the path it is taking. And there are so many users who have really embraced the technology. So many organizations who have been on the digital transformation journey across their supply chains, across their partner and sales ecosystems. So much data is getting generated. Data is the latest and the most valuable currency we have. Unfortunately, because of the vast amount of data, we are not able to really identify what is the nature of that data. Is the data sensitive? Is this data not sensitive? Is it structured? Is it not structured? Understanding the data has become a big problem because of the vastness and the complexity of all the surfaces that it occupies. And here are some stats which prove how complicated this problem is. And that is where AI really comes into place. The reason why this the data security problem is also complex is this business context. So earlier I explained the complexity and the nuance around the multiple connected systems and the multiple sources and consumers of data. But this is a view into the enterprise itself. So that is a world view. Let's take the enterprise view. The enterprise view is that business context is really very dynamic, very complicated, very much evolving. There are business policies, there's expansion of business into new areas, mergers and acquisitions, supply chain, forward and vertical integration, geolocation changes, new projects, new business opportunities. Our businesses is continuously evolving. In fact, at the pace is by the minute. And regulations are also evolving. In banks, across healthcare, regulations are becoming more stringent. Regulations are very dynamic. So many regulations are coming up. Even today, we are talking about regulations for AI, but this is more about regulations for the business. And there are business processes as organizations undertake the digital transformation journey. Their business processes are also changing. They're embracing IT at a whole new, amazing pace than it was 5 years ago. So all this entire business context is really creating this dynamic between the data and the people who are using the data. So there are many various kinds and categories of data that is getting generated. And here are a few examples. There are personal and regulatory data. There is business specific data. There are IP and trade secrets. And the people who are handling this data, because data is an asset. People are the owners, and people who are handling this data, they are, of course, they're multitude in number, and again, the various kinds of people spread across various geographical locations who are handling this data: employees, vendors, partners, ecosystem partners. So this, if you take an organization, this complexity makes the organization's data and people context really vast. And these are some of the questions that enterprises typically ask. They don't know how to start and really understand where the risk is in this whole people data ecosystem. And they also want to know, look, there is so much data. What is the data that I need to first protect? So that if tomorrow there's a vulnerability, if I'm exposed to a vulnerability, I can go after this data. I can prioritize this data. So where is that? So this is one critical question that they are asking. Third, regulatory requirements are changing. The declarations, the audit processes, the governance processes are changing so fast. So how to keep up? And how do we configure the right policies? So it's all about, if you look at the data security solutions, policy is the fundamental, the foundational pillar that ensures that the data is visible and data is protected. But then folks are saying, enterprises are saying, how do we configure policies? And even if I configure policies and an incident happens, remediation is so complex. Collecting the evidence, understanding who was involved with the incident, who should be, which all business units are impacted, who should I approach, what employees are involved in the impacted or involved in the incident, what is the right user education. So many questions plaguing our organizations. And this is really, these are more statistics to see, to tell you how difficult it is really for a human to tackle it. So many regulatory updates, 80 zillion bytes, zettabytes plus of data handle globally. 10 million is the shortage of skilled compliance and data security personnel. And this problem is even more complex because if you look at the compliance cost, $210 billion globally. That was the compliance cost associated with data security and compliance that was incurred by companies in 2022. So humans just can't handle the scale, the complexity, the urgency, and more importantly, the variety of this problem. So, how to embrace this problem? So, this problem we all know exists, and it's truly one of the problems where it requires all hands on the deck, a very unified, dedicated approach to solve. But where does AI come in this? So, I'll talk about the AI solutions that are there. But first, I want to really spend some time in understanding what is the right process in embracing this problem. So I go with three principles: simplify, prioritize, enroll. And I'm going to spend some time explaining what these three things mean. Right, till today, till the last couple of minutes, I've spent a lot of time in explaining how complex the problem is. So just think of it this way: when we are faced with a complexity, we always look for that light at the end of the tunnel, which makes things easier for us. So it applies to the same problem as well. Start with the simple stuff. Start with what is truly critical to your organization. For Microsoft, in a very recent exercise that we did, we figured out that credentials are one of the important things for our organization, because credentials are the true starting place for an attack, and it exposes, and credential leakage exposes to a whole host of vulnerabilities. We were talking to Citi. They told us that credit reports are a very important piece of information. So there are so many customers in the banking industry also who side with this view. So credit reports and the financial information is very important information for banks. Then medical forms for healthcare organizations. So understand and first scope the problem to what truly means for your organization. Once you scope the problem, prioritize. Come up with a roadmap on what do you want to do first. What is the first thing that is really critical, that is really important so that the house doesn't burn down? Identify, come up with a roadmap that has clearly defined priorities on each step of the roadmap. The last and most important is enroll. Organizations struggle with digital transformation struggle with embracing IT, embracing AI, because they don't enroll the various departments and functions. This sort of problem requires enormous collaboration across business units, across function owners, across process owners, across end users and employees, and IT department. So enrollment, aligning them and taking them on board with you so that they advocate for the solutions that you are proposing is very crucial. Enrollment is important for most problems. I'm sure it's a leadership tenet that all of us have to follow. But enrollment is especially important in this case, mainly because we don't want users to shy away from using their solutions because there is some IT department which is saying that this is not compliant, this is risky. We want users to continue to enjoy the various applications that IT is providing, and we want them to enjoy it productively, and we want them to come back to work with a positive spirit. They shouldn't feel that, oh, my organization doesn't let me be productive at all, half the things that I want to use are blocked. No, we don't want that to happen. We want them to enjoy all these amazing tools that have come, that are available for our enterprise. And for that to happen, all the business owners must enroll into our roadmap. So that is the first tenet: simplify, prioritize, enroll. Now, across this, these are the principles. But if you ask him what is a process to really embrace AI, first understand what your business needs and what really matters. There are certain crucial things which are non-negotiable for any business. Work with the leadership, work with your stakeholders to understand what really matters to this business. It can be done as a workshop, as a whiteboarding session, but that's the first step. Then know your data. This is the complex step. And in the next slide, I'm going to talk about what are the various wonderful solutions AI can have in understanding, in really knowing your data. But knowing your data also can start with these simple practices. Identify the top business processes which are generating the highest amount of data in your system. And then understand how the data is moving across various functions and how it's hooking to each of these business processes. I'll give you a simple example. Let's take a healthcare company. We all know that the company is in the business of producing healthcare products. So, which means a lot of data associated with healthcare is going to be produced by their business processes. That is where what really becomes important is what is this? These processes relating to production of this healthcare products. What is the data that these processes are generating? Of this data, what is the most crucial? Is it the medical forms that is it the medical data that we collect from our customers, or is it something else? So know your data, understand the business processes, map them, and try and see where the data is coming from. Then protect your data. This is the fundamental tenets of data security. Data protection is absolutely critical. There is no workaround to data protection. So once data protection entails many things, but first is identify the right solution which enables you to protect your data. There are many more solutions in the market, and Microsoft is one of the biggest software providers for data security solutions. So protect your data, configure the right controls to give you visibility on where the data is and what are some of those risky channels or unauthorized ways in which data is handling, and apply the right and optimal controls. Optimal is important because we don't want to burden the users with productivity issues. The last, monitor risks. Monitoring risks is where, despite these controls, despite this visibility on the data, despite this prioritization and enrollment, the threat landscape, the external and internal threat landscape is changing very frequently. There'll always be blind spots, and we should actively hunt for those blind spots, proactively go and understand what is the residual risk even after applying the right controls, and go and manage those residual risks in a very effective way. And that requires continuous monitoring. Monitoring requires teams who are very passionate about chasing the unknown, because if it were known, it would have fallen into the first three buckets. So it requires teams which are really passionate about chasing the unknown, chasing the dark, And these teams have to be truly involved in understanding the risks, understanding the vulnerabilities, understanding the residual blind spots despite the data protection measures. And this information should feed back into the process, into your roadmap, as again understanding and prioritizing, going deep into the data, its origin and its destination, and applying the right protection controls. Now comes the interesting aspect on what all AI solutions are available. So here is there's so much that is possible with AI in the space of data security. First and foremost is AI for understanding risks. There's so many AI solutions available out there which help you identify the anomalies, generate risk scores so that you can prioritize better, generate risk profiles so that you would really understand the indicators of risk, the real story behind that risk, and of course, threat intelligence that we are all aware of in the cybersecurity space. So, the first one is what I call AI for risk assessment and management. The second is AI for discovering, identifying, and discovering sensitive data. This is where there are many solutions possible, but most importantly, it is AI based classification. We have wonderful algorithms that can be built with AI that help us identify and discover sensitive data. Today, there are AI algorithms to detect source code, AI algorithms to detect healthcare files, to detect credit reports, to detect offensive language in communication. So there are so many things, so many classification models that are possible with AI today. And there's another technology called fingerprint. I'm not sure if this is as famous as the AI based classification, but fingerprint is a very interesting and a very simple way of translating a document into hashes, right? It encodes the whole document into a combination of hashes, and that hashes are used to uniquely identify a certain document or a piece of sensitive information. Then we have AI for setting the right controls. So there are AI solutions which can recommend the policies that are right for your organization. This is where even the generative AI models come into play, where if you are able to tell the generative AI, take the Copilot, ChatGPT, or any large language model for that matter, if context is provided, it can come up with the right policy recommendation. And there are system-wide automated controls. For instance, if you're worried about protecting this data, these users, this AI, this kind of AI can quickly say, look, here are the users you should focus on. This is the data that you should focus on. This is the kind of controls you should apply. So all in one go. There are beautiful AI solutions which help you in setting the right controls. And last but not the least, there are AI for monitoring. So, as I had explained in the earlier slide, despite our best efforts, there are always vulnerabilities, there are always residual risks that the organizations must be wary of. And there is AI for identifying these residual risks. Vulnerability reports, which identify the threat landscape, both internal threat landscape as well as external threat landscape. To give you an example, AI can easily identify if there are if there are employees in the organizations who are disgruntled and who are not happy with their work and they are engaging in risky behavior, what we traditionally call as insider risk. And there are external threats. Some system is compromised, some process is compromised. How do we intimate the IT admin about these vulnerabilities? There are compliance scores. All organizations, this is something that they should be mindful of, where the organizations have to produce compliance reports and overall scores on how much they're compliant with a regulation like GDPR, which is the PII and privacy regulations, or let's say for HIPAA, which is for healthcare, or GLBA for finance. So it's very important, and that's not just for avoiding regulatory fines, but today it's actually treated as an element of the organization's reputation. So it's not just about compliance, but it's also about reputation and customer trust because the organization is so compliant. User trust because the organization is so compliant. So AI can help generate these scores and reports, where it can collect telemetry and signals from a wide variety of places, intelligently compute what it means, translate the regulations into very simple tenets. GDPR is such a complex regulation. It has so many clauses, so many sub clauses, so many updates. So AI can translate these multiple regulatory updates into simple controls that all IT admins can understand. Thereby, what is really happening is the need for skill, the need for expertise, which we touched upon in the earlier couple of minutes as well, where we said that the true problem is that there's skill shortage. So AI is addressing the skill shortage, wherein you don't have to spend a lot of time in understanding what the regulation is, but AI will help you demystify that regulation and come up with a certain simple score which clearly explains how compliant the organization is. And these scores can be used across multiple places. These scores can be used to understand the lack of compliance in certain areas. These scores can be used to advertise. More importantly, these scores can be used for audit and reporting. So this is the breadth of AI solutions that are possible for data security today. There are many solutions. Microsoft Purview has a bunch of these solutions, starting from understanding risks to monitoring to setting the right controls. All this is available on the, happy to share later, and you can reach out to me to know more about this. So this is a little bit on AI for data security from my side, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Before I leave, I wanted to share some parting thoughts. I really enjoyed being a part of this session, and what I really loved about my journey, my personal journey with AI, is that initially I started with trying to demystify and uncomplicate whatever is there on my plate. And over the years, I learned that the key is to simplify, prioritize, and enroll. That is the most important principle that I follow in my AI journey as we make these products and make them available to end users. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. This is how you can reach me, ansarip at microsoft.com. And if you have any doubts, if you want to learn more, just ping me. Thank you.